chest day and a little bit of triceps too, maybe some side delts. We're going to start off with chest flies. Guys, I'm not saying that isolations are the only thing you should do because they're not always super efficient. But I strongly believe that if you want to progress a weak body part, you need to focus on isolations and you need to get better at those isolations. You need to develop strength. If I can chest fly half the stack and I'm struggling, right? And I progressively overload and build up to the full stack, my chest is going to be a little bit bigger. If I progressively overload past that and, get a gym pin or something, add an extra plate, slightly bigger. Same thing until I add 3 plates and all of a sudden my chest is like double the size of what it was, right? I'm not saying strength and size is that linear. Like if you add 5 pounds, you're going to gain, 5% more chest muscle. Obviously not, right? And there's diminishing returns on strength beyond a certain point in terms of the size gains. So if you're, benching 500, by the time you get to a 600 bench, your chest probably won't be much bigger, but it'll rather be things like your body weight, your skill set, and how you change your technique and everything. But if we're talking about just purely progressing a muscle, if you want it to get bigger, focus on the isolation, put it first in the workout, just prioritize it. Let's talk about rest times, okay? Part of bringing up any muscle group, I don't care what exercise you're doing, I don't care how you're trying to train, if you want to grow or to get stronger in an efficient manner, you need to be taking adequate rest periods, okay? Now, I base my training around motor unit recruitment and a couple other very fundamental principles. In order to have high motor unit recruitment, right, and recruit the highest threshold muscle fibers, the biggest ones, the ones that are capable of growing, you need to have adequate rest periods or else your motor unit recruitment is going to be lower. So if I'm the guy who goes, yeah, man, I take 30 to 60 second rests and just really focus on burning the muscle, that's not going to grow your muscle nearly as efficiently as taking 2-3 minutes, okay? 2 minutes minimum, in my opinion. But about 2 to 3 minutes should be pretty good for the most part. So the main reason for that is if you look at studies, people who take minute-long rest periods had to do double the volume to see the same gains as the people who did 2-minute-long rest periods. So with that said, take good rest periods if you want to actually recruit the biggest muscle fibers efficiently. Now that we got 2 large pieces of advice out of the way, let's talk about the importance of the pump. Boys, I hate to break it to you, but the pump never grew anybody. It may have caused inflammation in the muscle, made it appear larger for a temporary period of time, or maybe even, residual inflammation over the course of like a week that makes the muscle appear a little bigger. But there's no mechanism behind the pump that actually causes hypertrophy. The main mechanism, the only mechanism of hypertrophy is mechanical tension. Reps close to failure cause a stimulus for muscle growth. Even if you're doing, powerlifter type of workouts where you're doing, a lot of sets with reps in reserve, you're not really training to failure, you're doing really low rep sets, you're still getting stimulating reps, just not necessarily enough to cause a lot of growth. We're lowering the weight a little bit because I'm not going to be able to keep up the same performance with the same weight across 6 sets. And listen, people say, oh, you should change your exercises, you should do this and that. But at the end of the day, I'm really just enjoying chest flies right now, getting stronger at those each session. And I think my chest is going to see really big gains as a result of me just going hard on these and getting stronger. So we're going to continue to do this for a pretty high volume for this exercise in particular. It's going to be all I do for chest today. And then we're going to move on to triceps. Maybe do some single arm stuff and maybe a set of side raisers or something. All right, so I know I'm not doing tricep pushdowns yet, but let's talk about why I do single arm. For the same reason that I like to do more isolated stuff in general, what's more isolated than a single arm movement, right? Single arm pushdown, whatever. You're gonna get super high levels of motor unit recruitment. You're gonna be able to break through a lot of plateaus if you just focus on getting effective reps in an isolated movement. Now, there is diminishing returns on that stuff, right? Because you could take that and say, well, why don't I just do single limb and single arm and single leg, everything, right? But what happens is, because you're still going close to failure for that muscle, while yes, it's going to cause more fatigue locally, it's also going to cause a very similar level of fatigue in your actual nervous system to if you had just done both legs anyway, right? So if I'm doing a single leg calf raise and I go to failure on that, it's not like I'm just going to be able to do the next set for my other leg and be not affected by it. It's still going to affect my CNS. And so as a result of that, the volume that you do, even with single limb stuff, is going to still have quite a big impact on your CNS. And so you can't just milk it and say, well, it's one arm, so it's basically like half a set. That's not true. It's still a full set, and you need to take that into consideration for your programming. So you can't be doing crazy volumes with single arm or single limb stuff. So you'll see me doing a lot of times keeping it at most 3 sets for a single limb type movement, because if you try to do a lot more than that, it's just going to cause way more fatigue. You're going to be digging into your recovery, and it's going to suck. So anyway, let's get to the set. Something else to take into consideration is a little different than what I usually talk about in my videos. So I really enjoy my training, and I tend to enjoy what works, right? So if I find some new discovery and I'm like, oh, let me try this training method, it excites me, and so I'm gonna end up going harder. I'm gonna see a great result, right? Simply because I'm motivated, and I'm gonna actually train closer to failure as a result. Now, I'm going to train close to failure almost no matter what, because I just like training, but you get what I'm saying. So with that said, people don't factor in motivation or enjoyment, more specifically enjoyment, into their training, I think, as nearly as much as they should, because they go, well, you know, just do whatever works, just do this or that. And it's like, if you're not enjoying your training, you're not going to end up training that close to failure. You're just going to go through the motions, and you're going to get lower motor unit recruitment, which is what I talked about earlier, and your training is going to be way less effective for growth and for strength gain than it would be otherwise. Try to listen to music to motivate you. Try to, wear stuff that's cool, that looks cool on you, that you like, that motivates you. You know, if you have a workout partner, make sure it's somebody you enjoy actually training with, or motivates you or pushes you, and you'll do good. Sure. Alright, boys, so this is going to be a PR, which is, we're always going to chase PRs, but we're trying to get 47.5 today we'll try to go for 5 reps. I don't think we're going to leave any reps in reserve, but yeah, let's get after it. Okay, that was 4. Not bad, though. A little easier on that side. All right, we're dropping it to 42. Now, it'll be 12 sets total by the time that I finish this, okay? Which makes me start to rethink this a little bit, right? I try to limit my sessions. Actually, pretty recently, I've started trying to limit my sessions to 10 sets because when you're doing a lot more than that, the stimulus just keeps reducing and reducing and reducing because you can't have high motor unit recruitment as those sets go on. Because on set, number 8, it's way less than set number 1. On set number 9, even less than that, 10, you get it. And so by that point, you're getting so much diminishing return that it's actually digging into your recovery, like I briefly mentioned earlier. So the goal should be, how can I recover efficiently to get high motor unit recruitment and recruit those high threshold fibers during the next session so that way I can actually grow, right? Because your body has something called, your body abides by something called the size principle of motor unit recruitment, okay? So during your daily life, when you're brushing your teeth, when you're writing something down, when you're on your phone, you're getting very low levels of motor unit recruitment. And the muscle fibers that are responsible for those actions, they're really small, they're very fatigue resistant. So they're already maxed out in their size. And in order to get really strong and really big, you have to get access to high threshold fibers, the big ones, the ones that can grow, okay? And so when you're doing all these high volumes, a lot of people go, oh, well, you gotta grow this type of fiber and that type of fiber. There's only one kind that can grow, right? There's only the highest threshold motor units that can actually benefit and cause growth. So anyway, I'm gonna get to my set because I was yapping a little bit, but I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. You don't want to be doing insanely high volumes.
You put a deadline on it, so it's messing with you mentally. But if you didn't have a deadline, you might do a whole year on it. You might take a whole year. So you're in that weird spot where you're already giving yourself that artificial anxiety. You're messing with it. So
Because it's like, oh shoot, I got 6 weeks to get ready.
Because I'm addicted to lifting, I'm gonna do like probably 14 sets total today. All right, I haven't done any kind of shoulder work in forever because I had a pretty annoying shoulder tweak. It was a little bit of an injury. I mean, I really couldn't raise my arm overhead without a lot of pain. Couldn't bench without a lot of pain. That's kind of what got me on these chest flies and stuff lately, and these, easier type of movements, right? But last time I did side raises, I was able to do it pretty pain-free, and my shoulder honestly feels 100%. So we're gonna go pretty hard today. I've done, 50, 55 at points with decent form, but today we're just gonna do 35, try to go for control. I'm not gonna ego lift whatsoever on this. Just really keep it strict. When I can't do strict form, I'm just gonna put the weight down. I'm not gonna try to cheat or, do any kind of drop set, but I'll be honest, my shoulders maintain size pretty well. So looking forward to see shoulder day this week. Whoosh. Whoosh.
These two? Oh.
Whoosh. All right, so there's not a whole lot to say about side raises because at the end of the day, dude, they're pretty basic. But here's what I'll say. I have one key tip about side raises. If you have access to any kind of traditional wrist strap, okay, not to be confused with wraps, way different. Use that to hold the dumbbell and allow your wrist to bend down, okay? What that'll allow you to do is that'll actually allow you to pause at the top without feeling like the weight's gonna fall no matter what. Because I noticed that if you're trying to go heavier and you're trying to progressively overload on these side raises, you can't really do that without cheating and swinging a little more without straps, right? But what the straps have allowed me to do personally is I'll bend my wrist down and have a much more natural movement pattern, right? Because I can hold it up here. I'm shortening the moment arm a little bit and I'm allowing myself to have a comfortable place to pause because I can kind of rotate my shoulder upward a little bit, right? Get a little more freedom in the joint. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just a little bit of bro science, but that tip has worked insanely well for me to have better form on my lateral raises and to make them a little more progressible. But, yeah, anyway, let's get to the posing. I haven't had a shoulder pump in forever.